All right, well, welcome to the Smart Talk, and I'm going to introduce to you all the incredible Cameron Washington. And while he's getting his screen share set up, let me tell you a little bit about Cameron. He is a spiritual leader, entrepreneur, author, producer, and success coach whose creative initiatives have earned him national and international recognition. He is the visionary and lead pastor of Hope City Empowerment Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is the CEO of Cameron Washington Enterprises, under which are several entities: the C. Washington Group, a full service brand development company; CWE Studios, a physical location in Philadelphia; Cameron Washington Lifestyles, and includes his clothing brand and candle line. He has published 6 books and travels nationally and internationally as a motivational speaker. As a creative, he has executive produced over 10 docu-series. Are y'all taking notes on this? 10 docu-series, developed several products and brands, and created signature lifestyle and entertainment events. As an influencer, he has appeared on various television programs, in print publication, and has been named Man of the Year by Man of the Hour magazine. In his it is his passion to help individuals unlock the potential of their dreams while presenting them while presenting them in a way to while presenting themselves in a way that is true to the reflection of their greatest potential. I almost thought that last line was going to say in his spare time. So that's where my mind went. I was like, that can't be what this says, in his spare time. So listen, he's still spending that additional time helping others unlock it. And I want to turn it over to you, Cameron. I'm going to mute, and I'm excited that you're going to get started and share what you have for us today.
Yes, indeed. So as she mentioned, I am a pastor, so I know how important it is to stay within my time. So I'm actually going to set my stopwatch as well so that I have a backup. But good morning, everyone. I am so excited, first of all, to be a part of this. I think it is phenomenal. And I've been saying it probably since about March, that especially during this time where we're going through this pandemic and all these things, this is a perfect opportunity to take advantage of space and platforms like this where we can learn and develop. So I am excited. I'm glad that I'm first, so that way I can sit back and learn for the rest of the time. I told the ladies I got my notebook, I got my pen, and I'm excited to learn, because I don't think you ever learn enough. And I think there's always several ways that you can approach what it is you're doing. So thank you, Kyra. Can we virtually clap it up for Kyra? Thank you so much for opening up this platform and this opportunity for me to share. So today I'm going to talk to you just for a little bit about branding. And I titled it Branding 101, but we're basically just going to I'm going to try to narrate what I share with you through my personal story. I think sometimes when you can have not only an example, or not only have points, but you can have an example of somebody who actually went through these things, it will help you kind of understand it a little better. And so, as Kyra mentioned, my name is Cameron Washington. I have been an entrepreneur for about 15 years, 11 of those years full time. And what I think is so interesting about that is what I do today, I never went to school for. I went to school for music education. I went to seminary, and here I am now running these several businesses. But I believe that one of the essential parts of even personal branding and business branding is that you lead with passion and you lead with intent. And I think if you lead with those two elements, it will always navigate you and direct you. And so nothing that I have ever done has been forced. It's never been out of competition with anybody else. It was simply me wanting to live in a space where my purpose and my passion collided together. And that also has allowed me to do what I'm going to talk to you about today, be very intentional about what it is that I can present, what problems I can solve, and what I can offer to my audience. And so if I was going to start, before we get into the slides, I will never forget the first time that I really started sharing with someone what I wanted to do. I was working in corporate America, and I was working as a manager for a bank. How I ended up there, same thing. I have no idea. I just know I needed money, I needed a job, and I went and got me a customer service job. But I did not realize that even some of the elements of branding were working in that position, because within a year, I was able to get promoted, become a supervisor, become a manager, and end up managing about 30 to 35 individuals. But I was not happy. It was not what I wanted to do. The money was great, but it was not where I was supposed to be. And so even during my time there, I started thinking about, what problem can I solve? what can I offer people that is relevant and that is intentional and that comes from my heart, not just a place of just making money. And so I started out as an event planning company. I literally just went to Pep Boys one day on my lunch break and put CW events on the back of my truck and drove around until it worked. And I was like, oh shoot, that actually worked. So at that point, I didn't have any brochures, no website, anything, but I was willing to take a risk on myself and build it because I knew that I could do it. And so that went on. Then I went to wardrobe styling, and many of you who are probably on here like me can agree that you are a super creative, right? Like someone can just throw you anything and you'll make it work, you'll figure it out, you'll make it bigger than they ever thought. And so I've always been definitely a super creative. Not only branding, I have my license in cosmetology. I play several instruments, just different things. I love interior design. And so for me, that was exciting because I was thinking not as a way to pat myself on the back, but here are all these things that I can offer people. And I shared it with someone who was very prominent in the industry that I was interested in going in. And the first thing they said to me was, there's no way you can do all of that. And I was devastated because I'm like, I don't believe that God would give me all of these talents and I have to be restricted just to one thing. And so that discouraged me for a long time. But as I began to not only pray about it, but really think about it, I started looking at how I could cohesively merge everything that I do so that I can offer it, but it also makes sense. Because the reality is that we do have to be very strategic in how we build our brand. You know, there's some people who you might see on social media. One day they're a mechanic, the next day they do your taxes, the next day they open a hair salon, and you're like, whoa, this is just way too much all at once. And you don't really get a clear understanding of who they are and what they have to offer. And so what I realized was that I had to be very strategic and I had to roll things out in a period of time that made sense. So people, one, could get comfortable with me, understand the core of who I am, and then have their trust through my credibility that I could deliver on what I said I could do. And then I was able to expand into all of these different entities. And so today, I just want to kind of talk about some of those elements for a minute, what that looks like, and really what branding is, because I think that a lot of times individuals think branding is just creating a logo and having a website. And it's so much more than that. There's so many other aspects to branding. And I feel like I'm preaching on Sunday now because I'm going to say I don't have time to go into all of that. But if I was to say something today, this is what I would share with you. And so the first thing is very simplistic. What is branding? And branding is the promotion of a particular product or a company by means of advertising and distinctive design. Now, I'm going to share with you my perspective. And of course, someone else may have a different perspective. But for me, I think that branding and marketing go together, but I think that they are different in certain ways. One thing that I tell my clients when they come to me is that I am going to build the house that you can then put on the market. And so for me, what I do with branding is help you understand what your presentation to your audience looks like. And there's three elements that I live by when I talk to or that I teach those that I mentor. And it is, what do you want your audience to see? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? What do you want them to see? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? And I think every aspect of branding leads back to those three questions. What do you want them to see? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? We can use something as simple as a social media post, being very intentional about what we post. And for me, even before I put anything on my social media, that's what I think about. When I'm creating a graphic, when I'm going to post, even if it's just a quote, I'm always thinking, what do I want them to see? And then what do I want them to feel? And then what do I want them to do? Because all branding should lead your audience to a call to action. It should either make them feel something or want to do something. By doing something, meaning go to your website, set up a consultation with you, purchase your product. And so that is really the intent behind anything that you do with your branding, is that it is at the core promotion of your product, your company, or your service by means of advertising and distinctive design. I think that word distinctive is important because, of course, you want your brand to stand out. But also, I will say this, I think it is also wisdom to realize that you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you just have to turn it in a different direction. And so I think it's important, even in branding, that you're open enough to take pointers and take notes from individuals who are in the same industry as you. Wow, 8 minutes already. Let me speed up. So for me, when I started out event planning, the first thing I did was I asked myself, who are the prominent individuals who are succeeding in this area? And I was willing to learn as much as I could from them and then put my own twist on it. And so I think that's very important, is that, you know, the first step to developing your branding is look at what's working for other people who are successful in that industry. What are they doing? What are they saying? What is the presentation? And then use that foundation as a way to develop. It's just like when you build a house. You know, building a house, the process for building the foundation of any house is usually the same, right? You have to level the ground, you have to pour the concrete, you have to do all of these things that no matter what type of house you're building, that's the same. But what makes it different is then how you develop that house on top of that foundation. And so I think it's very important that as you build this house or build this brand, that you remember that you want to use a foundation that has already been successful, all right? Kyra, it's so hard for me not to be a preacher on here. I was gonna say, is that good? Is that all right? All right, so the importance of branding. Why is branding important? You don't know how many times I've come to clients and they'll say, oh, well, I'll just put up something real quick, or I'll just create a flyer real quick, or and I cringe when I hear that, because branding should be an experience that not only you enjoy or your clients enjoy, but that you enjoy. I love being able to be creative and think about how I'm going to present certain things that I do. And so when we talk about the importance of branding, I just concluded 4 bullet points, and there's several others, but these are what I would say is primary. It establishes your company within an industry. It gives you a footprint. It lets people know, here I am. It's what makes noise for you. It's kind of like you stepping into that virtual room and saying, hey, here I am, and I have something to say, and I have a problem I can resolve. And so that's very important, because in everything you're doing, you want to establish yourself in the industry. One thing that I've made a priority for me is letting people know, hey, this is what I do. And the more that I did that, then I realized that now, without me having to say it as much, people, when they think about website development or they think about production, my name immediately comes, hey, reach out to Cameron Washington, or hey, do you know Cameron Washington? And that didn't happen just because I sat back. It happened because I was intentional about producing content and messaging that let people know this is clearly what I do. And not only what I do, but I'm good at what I do. All right. So the second thing is it conveys your purpose to the consumer. And I think that's important, because all branding is not just about the certain colors you use and what fonts you use, but it's about conveying a clear message that you are someone that can resolve a problem that is relevant. And we're going to talk about that relevancy in a minute, but it conveys your purpose. It lets them know clearly what you do. And I think that in anything you put out, whether it's your website, whether it's a video, whether it's a graphic, within 2 to 3 seconds, they should be able to identify exactly what you do. Have you ever gone to somebody's Facebook page or their website and you're like, okay, this looks great, but I don't know exactly what they do. You're like, where do I go to find it? And you never want to be in that place, because as we all know, our attention fades quickly. So if people have to search to kind of truly understand what it is you do, then they're going to be on to the next. And so I think you have to really clearly convey your purpose to your consumer. The other importance of branding is it increases your company awareness, which goes along with what we're talking about, establishing that footprint and making some noise so that that word begins to spread. And then it reminds, let me move you out of the way because you all are on my slide. Let me see how I can move you real quick. Okay, it reminds, I have it right in front of me. Here we go. Reminds existing customers of your products and services. And one of the things that I say to those that I mentor is, you have to make noise, and if you feel like you're making noise, make more noise. Even we know statistically, just through looking at how social media works, that there was only a segment really of our followers that see what we push out or what we do, even with mailing lists. You know, we may send it out, but everyone may not open it. So it's important that we're continually putting information and putting content out there and staying in front of our audience and our intended market so that they know exactly what it is that we do and what we can offer. All right, here we go. 12 minutes in. My goal is to be under the time. All right, so how to build a brand. And I put 4 priority items here that I think are priority, and that is identity, audience, organization, and relevance. Identity, audience, organization, and relevance. These are the fundamental building blocks for your branding. And this is also important when you're dealing with several different entities or several different things that you want to offer. And so the first thing is identity, knowing what you want your company to represent and what you want its purpose to be is the first step to building a brand. And so I think that's important because a lot of times we will find individuals who are just excited about what they can do and want to offer it. But there's never been any real come to Jesus moment where it's like, okay, hey, what is the true purpose of this? And what does this represent? What is the intent behind it? And I think intent is very important because if you don't have a clear intent of what you want to do and what you want to offer, you will be burned out when you don't get the results that you immediately want to see. But when you know the intent and when you're very clear about what it is that you can offer, then you find that resilience to keep on pushing, keep on going, and keep on developing whatever it is that you do. So I think that identity is very, very important. And it goes back to, like I said in the beginning, is understanding that foundation, but then putting your twist on it, letting your character, letting your personality be consumed into whatever that identity is going to be. The next thing is audience. Consider your audience's age, gender, socioeconomic status, culture, and even geographic location. These factors will help influence the way you present your company to the public. Now, we could really do almost a whole segment on that because this is very important because the mistake that a lot of individuals make with branding is that they continually change their brand representation based upon whoever seems to be biting at the moment, whoever seems to be interested in the brand. And one of the examples that I use for consistently understanding your audience and marketing to that audience is what we see with several different brands. Whether you like luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, whatever the brand is, that brand has a specific customer in mind. They have what the LV customer looks like, what the Burberry customer looks like. They live here, they drive this, they're interested in this, and they develop their marketing based upon that customer. Now, it's not to say that other demographics or other ages won't buy that product or won't consume it, but they don't change their branding from week to week based upon what's biting or what's not biting. They're very clear about who it is they want to reach and who it is they want to target, and then they market in the field where that audience is. And so that is an amazing point because a lot of times individuals will get discouraged because they're marketing to an audience that is not interested necessarily in the product. And so you have to know what field to market in. It's just when you sow seed, you plant. You have to know what field to plant that seed in order for it to truly grow. And so that always has to be in the forefront of your head is, who is your audience? What is their age? What is their gender? What's their socioeconomic status? What's their culture? And even the geographic location. Where are they? Because you want to be where your audience is. Even with your social media platforms, you know, if your audience is all on Facebook, but you're posting on Twitter, then you need to be really aware of where your audience is and pivot so that your messaging goes to where they are. All right, man, this time is going quick. 16 minutes. Organization. Structuring your company in accordance with your brand can help ensure that the promises you promote are being upheld. And this is really important because I live by some mantras that really stay at the forefront. And one of my mantras is that I want to under promise and over deliver. And I also want to be accountable for whatever it is that I create. So I'm very intentional with that because if I say that I'm going to deliver within a certain time, I want to deliver in that time. If I say that I'm going to be able to produce something a certain way, I want to make sure that I not only produce it, but I I supersede my clients' expectations. And I think that's very, very important because it will keep you accountable. And part of that organization is putting systems in place, putting processes in place that allow you to be accountable, that you don't bite off more than you can chew. But when that business comes, you're not like me when I first started and put that on the back of my truck and then like, oh my God, what do I do? No, you're already building the systems before you have the website. You're already building the systems before you put your graphics, and you're just waiting for that business to come because you've already set up the organizational structure. And then the last thing is relevance. And this is very, very important. Is what you offer necessary, and does it solve a problem? You know, we all have iPhones now, and we all have iPads, and they're relevant now. But if the iPad would have come out in 1989, it probably wouldn't have done as well because people were not ready for it yet. And so it's very important that you understand that sometimes when you're given an idea, it may be a great idea, but it also has a season that it is for. I won't get too spiritual, but one of my favorite scriptures is, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose, which means in your personal branding, there is a season and a time in which it is supposed to work. And until that season comes, you have to, one, identify when that season is, and then work to be prepared for it. For me, as a super creative, there were several things that I wanted to do. I launched the candle line about 5 years ago, but the candle line was in my mind 10 years ago. But I knew that I had to wait for the proper season, one, where I had built the audience and built the credibility where I know it would be supported. And so it goes back to what I said in the beginning about, I wrote a book that's called Who Says You Can't Do It All? And the moral of that book is, you can do it all, you just have to do it in the right season. And you have to do it when it is relevant. You know, right now, many of us who are doing these virtual classes, you know, I for a while had virtual seminars in my head, like, okay, I need to put together these different things. But I just couldn't get it in gear. And then when March hit and the pandemic came, I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect season. But I wasn't then trying to scurry to get it together. I already had everything in place because it was an idea that had come to me a long time ago. It was just waiting in queue. So I think understanding the relevance is important. 20 minutes, tell me I didn't do it. I had a lot more that I wanted to share, but keep
going, but yeah, keep sharing.
Okay. So, well, I'm gonna unshare my screen for a little bit. Is that okay? And then I'm gonna just share face to face a couple of things that I want to say as well. Okay, and then I will highlight myself. I don't know. Well, you all can see me, right? Hey, Derek Ross. I see Derek Ross. Okay. So those are the things that I would say are the ingredients to building your brand. And if I had to go on the other side, not so clinical, but more so personal, I think that other things that really are part of the brand building process that we sometimes don't see is that when we build a brand, we are also a part of that brand. And part of being that brand is how we represent ourselves, who we are connected to, and who we allow to share our messaging. And so as you build your brand, those are things that we have to keep important. I'll be very transparent with you. There's somebody who I was working with for a very long time, and I was sending clients to them, and they were doing some work for me, and they were great on the business aspect, but their social media was just like a train wreck. They were just emoting all the time and talking about how they felt and what wasn't going right and how clients were doing. And for me, the disconnection was not because their work was bad, but just their representation of who they were. I was not comfortable with it because it didn't represent who I am. And so I think that a lot of that is also the part that we have to really look at, is how is what's connected to us also representing our brand, and others who we are allowing to champion our message, others who we are allowing to work on our team are also an extension of your brand. And so you have to be very intentional about what your expectations are and who you will allow to connect to you. Kyra, before we got on with all of you, we were kind of sharing, and she was talking about just how I've kind of navigated the space of developing several different companies and entities, but bringing them all together. And I think the pivotal moment for me was when I realized that I am the brand and that anything that I create is an extension of me. And so for me, the way I started to do that was I built myself as the brand with these various extensions. And so I did that by branding my website, even just as my name, Cameron Washington, and then developing within that site several different veins and intricals where you can understand what it is that I do. And then I also did a lot of cross-pollinating and synergy where one thing I did led to another. So it becomes all encompassing. And so again, I'm going to finish there, but I think it's just a matter of understanding your intent, understanding what problems you solve, and then looking at them all together and saying, how can I piece these together? Because for me, I am about retainment. I don't want my clients just to come to me for a website. I want them to come to me for their website. I want them to come to me for their social media. And then I want them to go to my site and be like, oh my gosh, you have candles. I need candles. And then I want them to be like, oh my gosh, but I need you to do my photo shoot. I want to be their all encompassing go-to person. And I think a part of that is just leading with intent and being very intentional about how you release things. Okay, so I am going to stop there, but I do want to definitely connect with you all, and I will share that with you. You can connect. The easiest way is to text CW Now to 21,000, and you'll receive text alerts from me. You can also go to my website, which is CameronWashington.com. Everything is there, and then I do want to offer you a website special for being on today. Website design, $350 for a 4-page website design, and there's some examples on my site. And then I do several different coaching sessions during the week and want to offer that to you. It is $50 for a 60-minute session to talk about your brand, your business, whatever it is that you want to build. And I didn't put the slide on there, but I do have my 6th book is coming out. It is called Manna, M-A-N-N-A, Lessons to Help You Live. It is in soft cover and hardback, and it's 250 pages of just quick lessons, quotes, and sayings from various teachings and messages that I've given over the last 3 years. And you can order that at CameronWashington.com. Kyra, thank you for this time. I hope I did you well.
That was amazing. Yes, we're all clapping for you. No, that was phenomenal. And I want to say this. We're going to go into the space of the roundtable a little bit later. And so once we do, we're really going to dig even further into the conversation with all 3 of you brilliant minds. And so by all means, I want you to know that the goal here is to make sure that we get the point, really the poignant pieces out. And we want it from you. So I don't care how you deliver it. If it's coming from you, that's what we want.
Yes.
And that's exactly why you're on this platform. And I'm just going to say this as Tiffany prepares to do her slide share. You mentioned quite a bit, and I wrote this down because this was what I learned in the process of developing a brand that included my name as well. It was all about the sequence of action.
Yes.
And so that was what I heard that throughout your entire talk, along with other things. But I want to share that specifically and distinctly, because I think that as we're all thinking about how we show up and what it looks like and what it feels like, and there's so much and there's so many things to think about, and how do I pivot and how do I shift? And we're going to get to your question, Kathleen, specifically in the talk, that this is real. And so take these points, even if you've heard some of this multiple times, we're students. And so that layering piece is so essential. But Cameron, thank you so much. More to come from you when we get to the roundtable. And so I'm going to introduce our next Tiffany. I'm excited for you guys to meet her. I'm excited for you guys to get these drops. Get your pen ready just the same. Tiffany Williams is the CEO and creative director for Twice Media Productions, a full-service commercial video technology company based in Houston, Texas. She started the business 3 short months after finishing graduate school in 2012. She is she's also the co-founder and managing director for Diversity Fund Houston. We're super excited about this being in our city. Yes, yes, yes. She's also co-founded and managing director, she's also, as I said, the co-founder and managing director for Diversity Fund Houston, a micro venture capital fund created to invest in minority tech founders. So excited about it. Tiffany brings a wealth of knowledge and familiarity with the technology and digital marketing fields. She began working as a multimedia instructor for the Freedom Forum Diversity Institute in Nashville, Tennessee, and later became an adjunct professor at Prairie View A&M, where she taught mobile media and video production. In 2020, this year, Tiffany was named Regional Supplier of the Year by National Minority Supplier Development Council. Congratulations on that, and honored with the Women Who Mean Business and Woman to Watch Award from the Houston Business Journal. Congratulations on that. And the previous year, she won Supplier of the Year by the Houston Minority Supplier Diversity Council as well. She's received the Art of STEM Award from STEM Bridges Houston and the Daryl King Paving the Way Award from World Youth Foundation. Tiffany, you are kicking all kinds of butt out here, and we love, love, love that you're trailblazing. And you are also alumni of Leadership Houston and now serves on the board of directors. I mean, she's like, I'm showing up and I'm sticking around and I'm staying in it. She participated in Dartmouth College's Tuck School of Business Executive Education and Google's Digital Excellence Program. She's also received a Bachelor's of Arts degree in English from Tennessee State and her master's in journalism and documentary filmmaking from Michigan State University. Goodness, the heat is here. If you don't know, you do now. Tiffany, it is all yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Kyra, for inviting me on the panel. It's a dynamic panel here today. I can't wait to the roundtable. Cameron, your presentation was great. I'm actually in the process of pivoting and branding myself. So I was over here taking notes. So thank you for that. So I am going to be talking to you all today about mastering the digital media experience. And our mission at Twice Media, literally says it on our website, is to give every client the Twice Media experience. It is that important to make sure that your clients come first. And so I do have a video production company, so I'm definitely going to be leaning this more toward video, but it'll definitely be applicable across the board. So let's just dive right in. So my slides decide they want to move. All right, here we go. So when I say, when anybody says digital, it just means online. So I know some people get overwhelmed because it's a lot, but it's literally just online. Anything you can access via a screen. So that is what digital is. Now, before I dive way in, I do want to start off by telling you what SEO is, because this is the most important thing when it comes to digital media. So SEO is search engine optimization. It is making sure that when people go to search for your product or service, you come up online. And the way that you do that is by participating. Now, Kyra mentioned my background. I used to be an adjunct professor at Prairie View. When I was a professor, I had two types of students. I had student A that was always on time, always attentive, always contributing to the class discussion, just a joy. And then I had student B, who was always late, never contributing to anything, and was asleep half the time and just didn't participate in class. Now, obviously, student A is going to get the higher participation point grade in the class. So I want you to think of Google as your professor. The more you participate online, the more participation points you will get and the higher your grade will be. So what does that mean? That means all of your digital offerings, so your social media, your email, your website, all of those are you participating. That is you raising your hand and saying, Google, I am here and I am ready to participate. So that, again, when somebody goes to search for your product or service, you are coming up because you've been participating across all these digital media platforms, and they all work together. So you're going to want to be linking to your social media and your website in your newsletters that you send via email. You're going to want to be using hashtags on your social media posts. All of that stuff. You want to be posting videos and content to your website, like a blog. All of that stuff is going to push you up in the rankings and make you more attractive to those search engines. Okay. Now on to the wonderful world of video. So out of all the digital mediums that I just mentioned, video is going to be the most powerful because it's just what consumers expect nowadays. So you definitely want to have a video presence. Now, for sake of time, I'm not going to show this entire video. I'm just going to play like literally 5 seconds of it, and then I'll explain it, okay? Hopefully Zoom will allow me to
Will it blend? That is the question.
Okay. So I know that wasn't a lot, but basically the premise of that series is this guy who owns this blender company. He literally puts everything in those blenders to see if it'll blend. So you saw he had markers in there. He had an Apple Watch in there. He literally blends everything. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so he literally started this off, no professional video production budget. He just put it all out there. To date, they have over 288 million views on their YouTube channel, 120 million views on willitblend.com, which was a landing page made specifically for this video series, nearly 900,000 YouTube subscribers, and it's probably gone up since then because it keeps going up. Over 190,000 Facebook fans, and bottom line, Blender sales went up 700%. So I show this just to give you a little bit of understanding on how powerful video is. It can literally change your brand overnight. Now, he was publishing this series for a while before it really took off, but he was consistent, and he didn't, like I said, use a big budget to do it. He just was putting it out there. He was his own quirky self. And of course, people saw that the blenders actually worked. If it can blend an Apple Watch, come on now, it's got to be able to blend my fruits and veggies, right? So when you are creating video for your brand, you always want to start with the strategy. So you got to determine, who are you talking to? Who is your target audience, your customer avatar, as it's called in the marketing world? Where are you going to put your videos? Where are the people that you're trying to reach? Where do they frequent? Are they on Facebook? Are they on TikTok? Are they on YouTube? Where are they? That is where you need to be. How often do you post content? Well, look at your competitors. What are they posting? How often are they posting? How often do your consumers expect content? Length. All of these different social media platforms have different specifications on how long videos can be. Like, for instance, Facebook, we used to always tell clients, make sure your video is under 90 seconds. And we preached that all day long. Well, now Facebook gives preference to 3-minute videos or longer. So you have to be able to change with the changing climate of these social media and these digital platforms, right? And so it's going to change. That's why you shouldn't be on all the platforms for the sake of being there. Like, I don't have a TikTok. Right now, my consumer is not on TikTok. So it doesn't make sense for me to be over there. Now, could I possibly get some clients? Could I possibly get some visibility? Absolutely. But I know where my bread and butter is, and it's LinkedIn and it's Facebook. So that is where I push all of my resources and my energy. And then lastly, the types of videos. What are the types of videos that you can create? I'm glad you asked. So there are a number of videos out there, and there's no right or wrong type. You literally have full reign, and you can do whatever makes sense for your brand, okay? So you can do a company overview video. So this is like your value proposition. How are you gonna differentiate yourself? By just kind of giving them a glimpse of what you do. You can do behind the scenes. These are really good for like IG stories and Facebook stories and things like that. Show people who you are. Anniversary or milestone video. You can do a president or CEO message. People want to know who they're doing business with. Even if you sell B2B, business to business, you are still ultimately selling to a person. So you want to be visible and brand yourself, as Cameron told us earlier. Like, when I first started, I was trying to hire a spokesperson because I was like, I do not want to be the face of the business. I want nothing to do with it. I'm behind the camera for a reason. But I realized that the only way people were going to connect with me was if I put myself out there. But I still was very big on, let me brand Twice Media. I don't care if they know Tiffany. I want them to know Twice Media. But as my brand grew, because I started starting other businesses, I realized I'm going to have to start branding myself and put myself out there. So I had to make myself get comfortable. So all this, look, it's practice. I had to get to this level, and you can too, but it just is going to take a commitment and a decision to just do it. And then you can also do product or service demos. So sales have been shown to increase over 80% when there's a product or service demo next to the product or service you're trying to sell. People just want to know, how do you use it? You can also get client testimonials, literally with your cell phone. You can record after you finish up with a client. How was it? Most people, they're so used to video nowadays, they'll do it for you. Event coverage. Now, even now that we're virtual, you can still, like, Kyra's gonna put this online afterwards. Like, you can literally, this is an event. So you can do that too. Speaker reel. If you're a speaker, you can put together a reel of some of your speaking clips that you can then send out to prospective event managers or other people that you're trying to reach. Live video, this is huge right now. All of the social networks are giving preference to live content. So you definitely want to be going live as often as possible. And then of course, virtual event videos as well. And that, I didn't even scratch the surface. There's so many videos you can do. Literally the other day, I celebrated a birthday and I leveraged that. I went live in my Facebook group and I was like, hey, it's my birthday. I got a big announcement. And I announced a class that I'm teaching tomorrow and was able to sell some seats to that class just because I branded it and I built up all this hype around my birthday. And I told people when I was going live and we had everybody on there saying happy birthday and buying my class. So you can literally think of ways to do that for your brand as well. I mentioned native video and live video are going to be your best bet on Facebook. Now, I wish I could go through all of the different platforms and how great and wonderful they are, but I'm just going to focus on Facebook because that's one of my biggest resources for my business. But of course, you can figure out what works for your brand wherever your audience is. And so it doesn't have to be Facebook, but I will say, if you don't yet have an online presence, Facebook is probably going to be the best place for you to start because everybody's on Facebook. Like, you know, you have Instagram and TikTok where it's a younger demographic, but literally everybody from my 15-year-old sister to my 75-year-old granny, everybody is on Facebook, okay? So Facebook gets over 8 billion views per day. Videos play automatically. So you're more likely to be seen as people scroll. It's given preference. These native and live videos are given preference by the Facebook algorithm. So if you don't know what algorithms are, I don't have time to go deep into it, but essentially Facebook is hiding your content unless people are engaging and interacting with it. And they do this because they want people to have a great experience on their platform too. So they don't want everything that you see to be sales and people trying to sell you something, right? So they have to make it a pleasurable experience. So they're going to show you what they think that you're interested in, and they're going to show the other consumers what they think they're interested in. Guess what? You want them to be interested in your brand. So you got to figure out how to beat that algorithm by posting native videos. So that means you're posting your video directly to Facebook. You're not you're not posting a YouTube link on Facebook. You are uploading that video directly to Facebook. Why? Because Facebook doesn't want you to go to YouTube. They want you to stay on Facebook. And then of course there's analytics available. So you want to be tracking and measuring how your videos are performing so that you can adjust accordingly. And I know I'm flying through this, but I'm trying to stay to my time limit. And I have a tendency to just overshare because I just want you guys to get it. I'm like, look, video can literally change your business. So I want you to know how to navigate out there, but don't be overwhelmed. You can start small and work your way up. Trust me, I did the same thing. All right, so another big way that you can kind of differentiate yourself is third-party live video apps. So Facebook Live Video is great, but it has some limitations. Like if you want to invite a guest on, then you're going to need to use a third-party streaming app, such as the one shown here. So my one of choice is StreamYard, but there's other ones available. Of course, we all know Zoom. We're using that platform right now, and you can go live on YouTube and Facebook with Zoom. You can do BeLive, and you can do Ecamm, which is Mac only. And then of course you have StreamYard. And most of these have free versions and paid versions. So I use the paid version of StreamYard. It works wonders for what I need to do. But you can figure out what works for you. And I actually give tips like this in my Facebook group every week. And I literally go into these different apps and share with you how you can use them and leverage them for your brand, kind of the pros and cons, my experience working with them. So all of that information is available to you guys for free. And I'll share the link with you at the end. See, we got a question. Which app? I can't see the full question. Is it which app is for, can somebody help me out?
Which app is for Mac only?
Oh, that's the Ecamm. So that is the one to the furthest of the right. I can't, like, my screen is limiting me in what I can do. So I'm having
trouble.
dig
into those questions, Tiffany. So when we get to the roundtable, we're going to dig in. So if you drop your questions in here, we'll get you an answer. for certain.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm almost done. So I don't even know how I'm doing on time. What am I looking like here? Because I'm almost done.
You're great. You're doing great.
Okay, perfect. So here's some other apps that I use, and I actually put together a list for you guys. If you go to my website, spicemediaproductions.com/thanks, you can download a full list of some of my favorite mobile video apps. So I also have a class where I teach you how to shoot and edit professional looking video from your mobile devices. And so I teach a lot of these apps in that course. And here's just some that I use often, but that list has a bunch of them that I also use. And I'm a queen of free 99. So most of the apps that I share are free, but there are some paid ones out there too that I promise you will be worth the value, because you want to be doing video more often. And there's so many apps out there. Like, I've been teaching mobile video production for at least a decade now. And so the app choices have definitely increased now that more people are seeing that they can do it from their mobile devices. So you guys have it made. So there's that full list available to you guys, and you're free to download that link. All right, so a quick recap. Video is one of the most powerful ways that you can tell your story online. You always, always, always want to start with a strategy. Now is the time to stay connected. So Black Friday is coming up, by the way. We're literally 5 weeks from tomorrow away from Black Friday. I want you to be thinking about what product or service can you sell this Black Friday where you can put together a video strategy to help you get there faster. So now's the time. Be creative. There's no right or wrong type of video. Like the whole birthday thing that I came up with, I saw somebody else do it and was like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna use my birthday to leverage a product that I'm trying to sell, right? So there's no wrong way. Like, you literally can get as creative as you want. Use video on various marketing channels, but again, make sure you know where your audience is. You don't need to be everywhere just because people tell you you need to be everywhere. Post as often as you can, every day if you can, multiple times a day. Like, it's just that serious. And don't be afraid to post DIY videos. People aren't as critical nowadays because everybody's doing their own videos. So obviously you want to make sure you have decent lighting and decent audio and things like that, like the basics, but you don't have, it doesn't have to be too complex. It really doesn't. All right. And then figure out what is your overall objective with each video. Don't do the video for sake of doing video, but make sure that you actually have an end in mind. Like, we're all busy business owners. You don't have time to just do stuff because people are telling you to do it. No, you need to be thinking about, what am I trying to achieve? What product or service am I trying to sell? And how is doing this video gonna help me get there faster? All right, so I have a special offer just for the Smart CEOs. So the Black Friday class that I have that I'm teaching tomorrow will literally walk you through a strategy to get ready for this Black Friday so that you can make some additional profits before the end of the year. 2020 has been insane, but it is not over yet. People keep saying, oh, I can't wait till 2021. No. 2020 is still here. We're in the fourth quarter, right? Winners are made in the fourth quarter. You have an opportunity to still make some money in your business, but you just got to be creative. How can you leverage the power of video to get where you're trying to go faster? So I've got this course that I've developed. It's going to be tomorrow from 10 to 12 p.m. Central Time. But if you can't make it, the replay will be available. But I have a special promo code specifically for attendees of this conference today. All you have to do is go to this link, bit.ly/MVP Live BFE. And that BFE is just Black Friday edition. And we're literally going to sit down and I'm going to walk through with you guys what we're going to identify a product or service you have to sell. And then we're going to walk through all the types of video that you can use. And we're going to put together a calendar so that you can be posting content up until Black Friday so that you can sell. And the beautiful thing is that everything I teach you is applicable to any time of year, right? Like, this can be applied, like the holiday season is hot. Like, you got Cyber Monday, you got Small Business Saturday, like you got so much stuff coming up. And then you've got Christmas, New Year's, You've got Valentine's Day coming up next year. Like there's so much you can do with this strategy that we're going to put together. Once you have the formula, you can apply it to whatever you have and keep going, right? So let's all win before 2020 is over. Like let's not just stop here. It's not over yet. All right, so the last thing I want to do is invite you all to my free Facebook group. I mentioned it earlier. In the group, I give weekly tips on how to shoot and edit professional looking video from your mobile devices. I talk about all the new video technology that's out there, all the marketing technology that's out there, so that you can leverage the power of video. Video has literally transformed my business. It's what I love, it's what I do. And as Kyra mentioned earlier, I have another business, Diversity Fund Houston, where we invest in Black and Brown technology founders. And I've literally been able to combine my two loves, which is helping business owners and video. And so I've built this community where I'm able to do that. It's specifically for business owners that are looking to stay visible and kill it online. Because look, what I found out, people are out here making money online, okay? Like with these sales funnels and all of these, like, it's crazy. And I was like, I've been doing it all wrong. I've been doing these big, large scale video productions with these major brands, which has been great. Don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful for my business, but I work way too hard. I'm like, look, we need to be leveraging the power of this digital media and getting this thing moving and getting these sales funnels and these, like, we need to be thinking about how we can leverage online, because that's where it's at, especially now with the pandemic and how everything has moved online into virtual. So there's no reason that we can't be capitalizing on this. I mean, the big brands, Amazon, the big box stores, they're already having Black Friday deals. We're still 5 weeks away from Black Friday and they're already posting deals. Why can't your brand do the same thing? Like, there's no reason. You have the same access to the same consumers the minute you post content online. You just got to get in front of the right people who are willing to make the investment in your brand. Okay? So I want you all to join that free Facebook group. I want to thank you again, Kyra. I'm also going to put up my contact information for Twice Media. I'd love to stay connected with you all on social media. I told you my favorites are Facebook and LinkedIn, but I'm on all the ones you have listed here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you all, and I'm looking forward to the roundtable soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. That was phenomenal, 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 phenomenal. And I just want to say to you that as you think about like how much content and information you guys just took in, I hope you were taking crazy, crazy notes, because I was. I'm going to ask all of us to put in the chat, what is our Black Friday deal? And if we don't know, we say, I got to work on it. What are we going to sell? We're in a global market. We can do it. We can do this. And she's just given us so much. I will tell you, as Nicole prepares to load up her screen share, that one of the greatest lessons, and like Cameron said, I've got to get all my digital content going. I got to do videos. I got to get in front of this camera. I don't know that I've ever been as camera ready as I have been over these last 9 months, ever before. And I mean, I show up every day with a full camera ready production and a beautiful pair of Crocs that I wear on my feet. And I'm like, this is like the life. And if I choose to go to the office, that's like absolute choice, right? And so in this instance, I'm just saying, you guys, we're in front of it. We've got the lighting. We figured out our background. We know what works, what feels good for our brand. We feel connected, produce. And so I see Cameron is saying he's got the book and a candle line and the website special. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I know this triggered for me action. So Tiffany, I'm going to be working on my Black Friday deal. And yes, I am. And I'm like, what is it going to be? So you guys, let's get it in the chat if you know what it is, or if you need this next few minutes to think about it. I'm going to encourage you to do that, because we are all in front of so many people consistently. And I will tell you, whether you're catching this in the live event or you're catching this via one of the other streaming sources that we posted this video, you are in the right place. We have loaded you. We have you have 2 amazing layers of your favorite cake, right? We have started the process. We're about to tear this thing up now and put a little extra in here. But I want you to know you have literally received practical, technical, clinical, educational, insight, period, psychological, spiritual, emotionally well-balanced content and information so you can really push it through. And if you haven't noticed, we care about what we do. I love what I do every single day of the week. And I'm there we go. Nicole's like, yes, chime in. Hallelujah on that one. Like, that is what we do. This is what we do for a living. We live through this. And so we live because we get to do this. Our life is even more enriched. And if you haven't figured that out, from Cameron to Tiffany at this point, Nicole's about to see exactly how real you're going to be in this process, because she's getting ready to layer this thing on and help you walk through the process of marketing. So let me introduce to you the Nicole R. Coleman, a professional speaker, corporate marketing expert, and curator of experiences, founder of and CEO of Super Bold, the Super Bold platform, a movement inspired by her love of connecting with people and encouraging them to live their best life now. Her desired impact across the globe is to empower others, address social concerns, and celebrate the greatness within us all. Host of the charismatically witty, Nicole, how did you do this to me? Host of the charismatically witty and reflective podcast, conversational series, Candidly Coleman. That is a mouthful and two. Nicole serves up a fresh new perspective of living your best and boldest life now. She is a nationally recognized expert in implementing business best practices and learning systems. Nicole helps lead brands and organizations and organizational efforts to grow their teams, increasing their morale and productivity, making big impact. A lifelong storyteller, Nicole is a published author who specializes in crafting vivid stories to expand the social and emotional intelligence of young leaders while making the joy of story time fun and enjoyable. When she is not writing or mommying, Nicole enjoys cooking, listening to music, or laughing until her face hurts. I can relate to that. In theory, she is working. In theory, she is working on the next installment of her children's book series. But in reality, she is probably being recruited to play dress up with her twins, or building robots with her son, or tripping over a toy or two while daydreaming about her next getaway. I love it. It's the ultimate mommy life. A proud advocate for autism, the autism spectrum disorder, and resources for parents and their children with invisible disabilities. Nicole is a champion for change and takes pride in helping others find their voice. I mean, I'm tripping over all of it. And this is not my first time reading this, but I'm going to tell you this. I have experienced Nicole in so many different ways. And I will say this bio does her some justice, but you all are about to experience as she unloads on us and helps us understand what it does mean to bring the marketing experience to life. So Nicole, it's all yours.
Oh, I have gone behind powerhouses, Kyra. So I don't even know if I can, hold a candle or torch to this, because thank you all for passing the baton to me. Cameron and Tiffany, you guys have shared so many nuggets this morning. And Kyra, thank you for, sharing your platform with us in this particular way. Of course, I love to talk about marketing and the experience behind it and how to, take your brand to that next level. It's been touched upon in so many different ways by both of the earlier speakers about the fact that you are your brand. And once really realizing that, for myself, coming from corporate America, transitioning into full-time entrepreneurship, I realized that as I crafted stories for major corporations and advertising campaigns, what it was the thread that people needed to connect with something. So it wasn't difficult to realize that in my own plight of dissecting and creating and identifying what that is with my own extension of a brand, it was that people wanted to connect and understand the story of me. And I naturally am a transparent person. And so I was able to give that in a place and space. So hopefully I do justice by this particular presentation and giving you all some gems on how you can position and craft your story. You don't have to give it all and throw it all, but there has to be a place of authenticity, intentionality, and consistency for all of the framework to work, and for people to really want to grab a hold and to take your product, your service, and the messaging to the next level. Because out of your space and place, you want your brand's messaging to be a referral back to you. And so that consistent message is what we want to get into. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it, because clearly I can, do this talking thing over and over again. So I'm going to keep the party going here. Okay, so what is a user experience, or what is experience architecture, right? So we've got a blueprint behind what an experience architect is. And essentially what it is, it's information, interaction, and it's the way that we navigate with products and services. So ideally, if you're offering a product to a client and they're your end user, how do we get from one place to the other and keep that messaging and keep the authenticity with it without it feeling so drowned out and feeling like you're really selling yourself short or selling yourself up a river, right? You want to keep it true, honest, and like I said, you want to keep the messaging consistent across the board, right? And so we want to make sure that we're navigating that in the best place and space in all that we do. So I don't know about you all or what you were doing on January 1st in the year of our Lord 2000. And so Cameron, forgive me, I chose to not put the original video on this because I knew that we were going to have a pastor on here. But speaking of brands are supposed to, especially in as we market, they're supposed to make you feel something, right? And it's hard because we're not doing an ebb and flow, and there's not the talk space yet. So usually when I'm talking, I have people talking back. So it's a little different. So feel free to turn your mics on and you can give me an amen, because I'm not a pastor, but I do like.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, D'Angelo is my guy. How does it feel?
There we go. Right, exactly. Right. The great poet, Maya Angelou, always said, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Right. So this was originally a tribute to Prince, right? And it became a controversial music video. And so I chose this particular clip because it wasn't the original video, but there's nothing. I'll just let the first few seconds play out. Even with hearing the first few melodies of a chord, if you're in your car, if you're walking down the street, it's a bit of nostalgia, right? 20 years later, you hear the concept and you remember where you were the first time you saw the video. You experienced the conversations around it, the camaraderie of what that dialogue took place. And now 20 years later, here we are, and we can still remember, not only is the song originally called Untitled, but we call it How Does It Feel, because those were the truest titles, the truest lyrics of the song. But how does it instinctually feel, right? And that's how the experience of your brand should pit in the stomach to someone when they experience the smell of Cameron's candles, right? Or the videos that Tiffany exposes us to with her classes, right? She is offering something wonderful in her Facebook groups, a free product and services of how you can do this on your own. That's an amazing gift. So how does that feel in the sense that, oh, I'm definitely going to want to refer business back to her because she's giving such an incentivized gratis to us as a people. Let me support, this company and service by what her extension is. So that's all a big part of who she is, what her company is doing. And that's the truth of who, what she is and what she stands on. So in the sense of our experiences and how we're making people feel, that's ultimately what we have to stand on in the bigger picture of an experience. So when we talk about experiences as a whole, we have to think about the fact that we know that big brands such as Apple, we know that they may not have the best iPhone, may not be the best phone on the market, right? There's a company called Huawei or ZTE. They have other phones that may technically be the best, but people don't buy an iPhone because it's the best phone. They buy an iPhone, why? Because it's a lifestyle. You're buying a lifestyle. You're buying a luxury. You're buying accessibility to apps. You're buying an ease into life, right? Beyonce is Beyonce. And if you're a member of the Hive, don't attack. However, she may not have the best athleisure line, which is also coming out with a new part 2, I believe, next week. However, what she does have and what she is offering is an additional extension to her community. And who doesn't want to be a part of a community? The people in the Beehive, not only do they stand, and they also pour their revenue into an additional stream and funnel, and they bring it on back. And they have their own conversation, their own groups, and they are doing their own things because people want to be connected to something that means something to them. So as you're building out your messaging in your brand, do you have an opportunity to create your own community? And what does that community look like? What do they feel like? We've been talking about the fact that know your tribe, know who your people are. Tiffany says she's not doing TikTok because her people aren't on TikTok. When they get there, she'll pivot and go there. Know where your people are and how you need to address and where you meet them. Sometimes it's hard to identify what that is. So I would suggest maybe you do an audit of your social media. Maybe you look at your top 5 or 6 posts over the last few months. See which ones got the most engagements or the most likes. And you might be surprised by the ones that actually got the most engagements or the most likes. And those are where you're going to find who your people are. They're what they like about you. And what they like about you it might not be the messaging that you are really trying to craft for them. Your audience is going to tell you exactly what they're looking for from you. I did it myself, and I was surprised at the things that my audience was looking for from me. I thought it was the cute kids, right? But they preferred when I took a selfie in the car or some other things, that it was me versus the other external things around me. And so I was able to identify other things about what my personal audience was looking for, and what they were looking to draw out. They wanted to know about my skincare routine or different things that I wasn't aware that people would be interested in because I wasn't having that conversation. So it's simple things like that to kind of tap into, to know where your people are, who they are, and why they're connecting with you. And if you're not as plugged in on social media like that, if you already have a product or service, ask your most loyal customers, why do they continue to support you? And that's not an offensive inquiry. That just means that you value them to a level that you'd want to know how you want to continue to have their support, vie for their support, and how you find more people like them so that you can build that community of like-minded people as well. So I'm gonna keep going. So we all wanna know, like, how do we make our brand unique, right? People get so caught up in the fact like, well, there's already so many authors, right? There's already so many speakers. There's already so many beauty products, or there's so many. Well, have you been to Target recently and walked up any of those? They're not short of any products. So don't limit yourself because fear is going to hold you back. right? If you have something that has been given to you, if there has been something that's been put on your heart that you know that you just can't shake it, and you know that it's yours, go after it, and go after it fervently, because you are the one that's been crafted and has been divinely ordained to push this out, and you have the ability to do it. And now is the time. Pastor Washington mentioned earlier, everything happens in a season. There's a seasonality for everything. And the reason that it hadn't happened before is because that wasn't the time or yours. I came out with a book this year. I've been talking about writing a children's book for over 20 years, but my oldest child is 6. And it's been in my mind to do it for over 20 years, but I was able to write a book in a day and a half because the time, my season came, right? Everything became relatable. And so it's just another moment to pay attention to the fact that everything will happen when it's supposed to, and we can't rush the process or our progress, and we can't let fear hold us back. So remember, your brand is unique and that you can stand apart from the crowd. Now, how do you do that? When you're saying, okay, I heard what you said. I know that Target is not, short on products. Walmart or any other place that you go to that has a mass amount of products, they're not short on any of those things either. So in a world full of, if you look at your hand, everybody stand up and in your face, just look at your hand, and not your neighbor's hand, Pastor, just yours. And in a world full of fingerprints that have loops, double loop whorls or arches, right? We're all unique in such a specific way. You have over a quadrillion possibilities in just your thumb alone. A quadrillion, because just like your fingerprint is unique to specifically just you, one thumb fingerprint has over 50 endpoints or possible fork or dead end combination. And the average person doesn't even realize that. The average person assumes actually that our fingerprints come from just our DNA. And there's a on the left. So, and you guys can Google this on your own afterwards. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV with my Law and Order degree and my Grey's Anatomy doctoral degree as well. But for this example, I just want you to know that the irony is, or the beauty of life is, that our fingerprint pads actually are formed by the chaos in our lives. It's formed from what our experiences are in our life, from womb through the turbulation of things that happen. So these are our individual fingerprints, and no one else will have them. So it's also your impression. So as you are making your impression and your touch points, just remember, don't let fear hold you back from anything, because it's you, it's always been you, and you have it in you to push forward. Amen, amen. Okay, so again, you are unique. No one past, present, or future is you, will be you, or can do you better than you. So the experience that you can provide in whatever your product, your service, or your offering is dedicated to solely who you are and the people who will tribe, ride, and commune specifically just for you. So how did I get here? What do I know about marketing? How did I become an expert curator and things of that nature? Well, I started off in corporate America over 20 years ago. Thank you. And I transitioned to working with luxury brands, lifestyle brands. I've worked with nonprofit organizations to help them align their brands to get the messaging crafted in a specific way, not only to make big money, but to transition and transform lives, and to make sure that the experience from an experiential marketing side, which is everything from red carpets to movie premieres to book launches to you name it, been there, done that, and can write a book about it. literally. I have experienced the full gamut, and now I produce events for myself and my own brand. And I've had the opportunity to work with, like I said, a lot of different brands. And I just chose to one day bet on myself. And so I live by this particular quote. Be bold enough to use your voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you have always imagined. Live super bold is not just something I say. It's something that was birthed from a tragedy. I created a platform from a health scare, 8 months postpartum from giving birth to twins. I was rushed to the emergency room when I learned that I had stroke-like conditions. My blood pressure was 186 over 156. I was having bad migraines, very nauseous, and wasn't sure if I was gonna leave the hospital, but I had a 2-year-old son at home, and I had 8-month-old twin girls. And in that moment, I was like, what will my children know of me? Who will tell my story if I never leave this hospital? In that moment, I heard God say, stand tall and be bold. And fast forwarding a very long story, I knew that when I heard for like the umpteenth time on the Triage TV that the Super Bowl was coming to Houston in a 147-day countdown, that my soul was irritated. But when I finally was released and got home, I called my best girlfriend up and I said, hey girl, you know this idea that I've had about doing all these things, what if I just put it together and created something called Super Bold, where we celebrate and highlight women during Super Bowl weekend in such a major and powerful way, because we're the true MVPs of this game called life. So it became an event platform space that transformed into other things in the Super Bowl vein, which is now a children's book series. And we also have other events and a calendar of things and a litany of things. But allow your life to evolve. Allow your story literally to transform and shape in a way. Now, everybody's is not going to be the same, and it's not going to work in the same direction, but you can allow the places and the spaces that God has shown up for you to be the avenue and direction point, to be the breakthrough, not for you, but for someone else. So I want to share that because I know I'm probably over time, Kyra. Keep me honest and jump in here. But past brands that I've had the pleasure of working with, here are some here on the board. I've also had the pleasure of working with some other brands that are not listed here as well. I've had the pleasure of doing red carpets and book tours and launches in the experiential marketing space as well. My calendar includes, for my personal brand, a Hall of Fame awards, a Super Bold Mom retreat. We do a philanthropic awards initiative annually, as well as a global leadership summit. And my platform metrics, that's some information there. We can go over that. I'm over time, I know. Just some other little details. How to get, oh, look, hold on. Kyra, where are you? Chime in here. How much time do I have? I can't see.
Here. You have 4 minutes.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to go real fast and make
You're doing good. You're doing great.
Okay, so Smart CEO discount. So if now until October 31st, if you go on my website, livesuperbold.com, and order the book, you can get, there's a Smart CEO coupon code that you can use. And I also have a, 2 lucky people are gonna receive a Super Bold VIP gift box. And I have those 2 lucky people. They were the first 2 people who chimed in on the chat this morning. I know the first one said good morning, and I can't remember her name, but the second one is Kim, with the 2 Kim, Kim, hold on, it's Pastor's friend, I think, with.
I'm gonna help you, Nicole. I'm gonna help you.
Thank you.
So I see Nikita, good morning.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Kathleen Kim Moore.
Yeah, Kathleen Kim Moore. I knew she had a Kim, yeah, 2 Kathleen Kim Moore. So if I can get their information, if they can just send me an email, I will send them an autographed children's book, an autographed cookbook, a Super Bowl journal, and a Super Bowl tee.
Hold up, Nicole. Y'all unmute. So those of you that just won, unmute and make some noise because you just won something. Like that was
Yeah. I'm super excited.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're
I am
welcome.
very excited and I'm so appreciative to this opportunity. Thank you so very much, Nicole.
And I know I just sped through the last part of that, but I want us to get to the roundtable because I know that there are going to be questions, and that's where the meat and potatoes really are, not in me just rambling on and on, telling you, yeah, that's where we can really dive in and get into it. So thank you guys so much for having me on this morning. It's been such a pleasure and I'm ready. So come on, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Okay, Nicole, pause, stop your screen share. Thank you, everybody. Clap it up for Nicole. Thank you for showing up as you always do in excellence. We absolutely love it. Love it. And so I am excited. So I'm going to reintroduce myself. I am Kyra Hardwick. I am the founder of the Kyra Company and master strategist. Have the pleasure of being also the founder of the Smart CEO Community, a community designed to build and bring solutions to CEOs that are thriving and moving in the direction of up. That's our goal always, to bring you resources, to bring you tools, and to give you a platform like this. This is how we live, how we breathe. The rule of reciprocity is number one in my house and in my business. And we open the door to extend the opportunity. So yes, thank you for opening up and showing your faces. We want to see you. We want to have some conversation because this is your time now. You took some time to get here. And for all of you all, and I will always tell you, as with any live event, you have registrants and then you have those that show up. So just know that you are amongst the elite today, and those that will catch us on the replay, we know we're disruptive. Let me just be clear about who I am and my brand. I'm very clear about that. I am disruptive on purpose. I am intentional about disrupting your flow. And the reason why I am that way is because that was how I was able to shake the corporate structure that I carried so broad on my shoulders and walk into entrepreneurship with a different level of understanding that it's going to take a different kind of grit and a kind of focus. And I'm not necessarily a hustler, I'm a strategist. And so I'm looking for the strategy that's going to help me execute my plan. And that makes me results driven and I get results on the backside. So I'm always looking for the method to get it done and the strategy to get it done. And my objective for you is to give you the strategy to get it done. And you have resources. So I'm jumping in. This is everybody's time. Now, how we're going to do this, you can unmute yourself. I am going to read the questions that popped up in the chat initially, but this is roundtable time. And if you've ever sat at my table, we all eat real good and we have really good conversation. And so that's what we're about to do. And these experts are going to light it up. So I'm going to pose this first question. Let me get to it because I committed to making sure we got this out there. First question, and Cameron, this is for you. In the incubation stage of business development, how do you develop a management style to prepare for the time of launching and be at the ready stage when all the bells and whistles are in place, especially when you are the only staff person? I'm going to interpret that. How do you create and work a miracle? How do you do it, Cameron? What's the answer to that?
Okay, so I'll first say, I don't know if you're ever completely ready. I think there will always be something that you wish could be a little better, wish went a little differently. But I think a lot of it is trusting your gut. And that probably sounds very general, but I think that there is always a feeling when you know that it's the right time. And if it ever seems forced, then it certainly is not. But I think in regards to organization and being a team of one is knowing how much you can handle and being very realistic about that. There's a lot of times when I meet with entrepreneurs and they want to do this and they want to do that. And then, my question to them is, but can you handle it? And, I always keep a very conscious reality that even those that work on my team, they could leave at any moment. And so do I have a plan in place where I can sustain what I've built when it is just me? And, you know, the majority of the time it is, you know, so that's really how I think about it is, you know, what can I be accountable for and what can I manage where I still enjoy what I do? Because you never want to get to the place, you know, entrepreneurship is supposed to be something that we enjoy. It's a journey, it's hard work, it's sacrifice, but at the end of the day, it's something that's to be celebrated. And so you have to be very intentional about understanding what you can handle, what you can manage, know when you need a break, know when you've got too much on your plate. You have to be very honest and realistic with yourself and trust your gut. I mean, I would say in the simplest form, that would be, you know, my answer.
No, that was great. And I'm going to just, yeah, Tiffany, I was actually coming to you to say, let's talk about capacity. And I'm not sure what popped up for you, but that was where I was going. So we can really open this up a little more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a few things. Definitely start with the end in mind. Think about where are you trying to take this brand? And then you can work backwards in terms of how you're going to get there. So how many team members do you need? And then you could be writing out those job descriptions and figuring out, okay, how big, and right now you may be the name in all of those boxes, but you still need to understand what it's going to take to operate your company, to build that capacity. And then you have to be thinking, where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? And then all you can do at this stage is just prepare. So that way, when that opportunity comes, you are ready and you're not scrambling, trying to figure stuff out because you already know the team members you need. And you can also be starting to build those relationships with subcontractors. So you might not be able to hire employees just yet, but you can be partnering with people that offer complementary services to yours. And then when it's time to go, you all band together and you execute and you get the job done. So I would be just planning and understanding where you're trying to go, and then work backwards in terms of getting prepared so that you're ready when that opportunity comes. And then I would also recommend a book that really helped me when I was early on in my business, and that is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. The E-Myth Revisited. And it is, the E just stands for entrepreneurial myth. And it is basically talks about how there are three types of people. There's the technician, there's the manager, and there's the entrepreneur. You cannot effectively be all three and grow your business or sustain or scale a business. So you really got to be thinking about that and identify which one you are. And to Cameron's point, be honest with yourself about which one you're actually going to be. Like when I first started, I shot and edited all my videos and photos myself. And then I read that book and realized that that was not my thing. I need to be the entrepreneur. I need to be thinking on the visionary standpoint. Where are we going to take this company? And I'm also not the manager. I don't manage my team because that's not my strong suit. Now I can do all of those things, but it's not where I shine. Where I shine is on the entrepreneur level, and yours may be the technician level. So the person that actually bakes the cakes or takes the photos or whatever, but you cannot scale a business trying to be all of those different things. So that book really helped me. And then lastly, what I'll say is leverage technology. There's an app for literally everything out there. And you write a job description for that technology the same way you would for those employees. What do you need that technology to do to help you be more efficient, more organized, and to offer a better client experience? There are so many tools out there available. So just figure out which ones you need to help you execute, and then employ that technology the same way you will when you get a team.
And Tiffany, spot on. And I was going to say, please put the book or a link, if you can, drop it in the chat for us for E-Myth. I think it's important for us to all grasp that, especially as we're emerging and becoming more resilient business owners, coming out of COVID, coming out of the economic recession. We're still in it. It's just it's about the way that you're emerging, right? That's going to show or demonstrate just how rapid you'll move out of it. But let me ask this question. And I'm going to pass this over to Nicole, and I'm going to say, Nicole, one of the things Cameron shared earlier was that your favorite brand has a specific customer in mind, and you've worked with a lot of large brands. What has been some of your, maybe some insider feedback or information you can give us about what some of those big box brands have said about who they're looking for, and are they looking for us? Am I their customer?
So pre-pandemic conversations or post-pandemic conversations?
Say maybe give us a flash of both, however you choose, but we want.
Okay, so pre-pandemic conversations, no, they weren't looking or checking, and they were very non-apologetic about that, right? They were very specific about the boxes that were being checked, and very cavalier sometimes in a room. And unfortunately, that's what we've had to segue to where we are now. Now, post-pandemic, everybody is concerned because we have to be on paper. We have to be aware. I don't know how long this trend will last because it's the new now, it's the new popular until it won't be. But we need to maximize it for what it is in this moment. I hate that it has become a trend, and I say that lightly and treading with caution, because what is now happening is that in conversations, and more so with younger corporate individuals, there is more dissension in the fact of, kind of reminds me of early 90s, late 80s, when the conversation was about, how we integrated into college and the benefits that we received and how things were. Yeah, it was just, there's just a lot of dissension. It just kind of makes for ugliness. So where there is power and the ability to take advantage of the opportunity, it's not taking advantage of an opportunity. It's just reframing the conversation of, this is where we should have always been. And it's hard to navigate that conversation when people first don't want to hear it, or you are now redeveloping, you're now marketing to the marketers who need to be sold on what they should have already been doing. And so that's kind of where my job is now. It's more of a consultant to consult in a space of crisis management to, okay, we're going to do this campaign, but to do this campaign, I now have to market to you, to market to the people, to do the things. Yeah.
Taking that breath. The reason why is because it is so, I know we all felt the weight of that. Like, and then as you chose your words, because you're like, this is a digital impression.
This is a digital, yeah. And my kids got to eat.
Feel that weight. Could y'all feel that weight on her? Could you feel it? So I'm going to ask, if anyone has a question specifically for Tiffany, Nicole, or Cameron, go ahead and unmute, and we're going to take the next 10 minutes to answer your questions and really kind of make sure we've served you well in this conversation. And your question, this is one thing I've learned, and I see one of my colleagues on, Derek Ross, we've learned this in a community. We learned entrepreneurship and that grit in is my questions help you and your questions help me. And so what questions do you all have? Stephanie, you as well. So please, by all means, any questions that you all have, go ahead and unmute and let's hear what you have to say.
So my name is Tamar Bibbs, and thank you all. This has been a very informative and enlightening webinar, and I appreciate you, Kyra, for taking the time to do this, because as a small business owner and trying to find guidance, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. But to Tiffany, one of the things that I've been trying to get more into the habit of is doing the videos and making the content, but that's kind of where I get lost. I know I need to do it. I have, some things that I've kind of set up, but I don't know if it's working. I don't know. I just feel like it's lost. And so the guidance is kind of what I need help with in terms of video marketing.
Okay, where do you know who your customer is?
Yes.
Okay, where do they frequent the most online? Are they on Facebook, Instagram? Where are they? LinkedIn?
I would say Facebook and LinkedIn are the two, but I have gotten some off of LinkedIn through marketing, for some of my events. So they're on all three platforms, but
what was the third one? You said LinkedIn, Facebook, and where?
Instagram.
And Instagram. Okay. So which one has brought you the most revenue to date?
Probably Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn, I'm still trying to figure that platform out in terms of how to promote my services on LinkedIn to where it doesn't seem like I'm selling, but more, being a resource and then and engaging. So that's kind of where I get lost with LinkedIn.
What do you sell? Can I ask that?
Yes, so I'm in agriculture risk management. We provide business solutions for farmers and landowners.
Okay. So are there other people that do what you do in your industry that have already built a brand of thought leadership online?
Yes and no, because the agriculture consultant that I see really doesn't target the market that I'm working with. And I don't know if they, because I'm specializing in hemp and cannabis. So I know there is a market there on those platforms, but just trying to funnel through all the, CBD posts and all the other stuff, like it's just a lot. And so just trying to get the message across without it being watered down by other marketing. I mean, because it does affect what other people put out, like it does have some type of effect on your marketing and whether or not people engage in it. So
absolutely. So in terms of just getting started, I would focus on where is actually bringing you the dollars now and put your energy there. So if it is Instagram, that might not be your end goal, but I would say for right now, you can milk that platform and do what you need to do, test stuff out, make mistakes. And then as you continue to grow your brand and you figure out different things, then you can venture over to LinkedIn and start using those platforms, but build your community where they already are, where they've already shown you that they have some interest. And then look for other people in your industry. They might not be doing exactly what you do, or they may not be speaking to exactly who you're speaking to, but you can be looking at what hashtags are they using? What type of posts are they posting? Who are they following? Where are they getting their information and their resources? And then you can start to build up from there. And in terms of video, I would say just get started. Like you have so much information locked inside of you that a lot of us don't know, that you think is so simple because you just know it like the back of your hand. But you have to understand, I know nothing about your industry. So there's a lot that you can teach me and a lot of value that I can get from you as a subject matter expert and as a thought leader. So I need you to unlock that information and share that with me. And it could be the most simplest thing that you think is just like everybody knows, but they don't. So what are some tips and resources that you can share? What are some of the publications that you read and gain value from that you can share their articles and connect with other thought leaders? Who can you, if you start doing lives, what other thought leaders in your industry can you invite on? And so you can borrow their audience, right? Like just start putting content out there. Like don't think too hard about it. Don't overthink it. Just, you have value in you. So just start with that strategy in mind though. Like sit down and think about, okay, I'm just going to use Black Friday as an example because it's the first thing coming up in terms of a holiday or something you can jump on. But like, look at the 5 weeks that you have. What are some of the videos that you can plan out over the next 5 weeks where you can just be positioning yourself as a resource? And you can do that whole Gary V, the jab, jab, left hook thing. You give and you give and you give. And then finally, you offer them that product that they can't resist. So I would say just start with your strategy, start on the platform that's bringing you dollars now, and then just give them the information and look and see who else is doing what you're doing and try to, borrow some of the things that they're doing.
And I'm gonna say this, Tamar, you just got laser coaching from experts. So
thank you.
I don't know if you all didn't pick up what was being put down. Shame on you all that didn't ask that question. Tamar opened that can up for you all. And I want you to know it was served very well. So that's the whole, I'm over here like beaming with joy. But Tamar is a smart CEO. She lives in the community. She shows up. And I will say, when you think about the value of showing up, ebook, go to the website, you can download it at no cost, show up ready. The whole point of it is to show up ready. That's what our brand is. Cameron, unmute yourself. Unmute Cameron and Nicole. When we think about showing up uniquely within my brand, you all understand, and I know that there's a culture that we created in our brand, right? And aside from you knowing how to show up, you also knew that there was a level of delivery that we wanted to have when we showed up in this space, right? And we kind of laughed about that in messaging, but you all distinctly had the same understanding that there was intention and there was purpose and deliberateness, if that's a word, around how and why, right? And so what I love is that you all showed up with that in mind, and that's the level of which you delivered. And so for you all that are figuring it out, right? Stephanie, all my Stephanies, right? Freen, Derek, Nikita, as you all are thinking about this and fully really realizing your brand and saying, well, what else can I do? You know, as you're writing those notes down, how are you showing up? And are you showing up in a way that creates so much understanding and clarity around your brand that your marketing grabs and captures? People want to hear from you. They want to watch your video. They want to watch your report. Tiffany, how many times have I been like, look, Tiffany, what do I need for this video? Because she's like, good lighting, great sound, Kyra, get over it. You're going to get it. I'm like, fine, I'm going for it, right? That's what she tells me every time. And I promise you, I've asked probably 3 or 4 times. And then even when I think about like my first time experiencing Cameron's platform, if you guys have not seen the Power Huddle, you've not been on the Power Huddle, if you've not been in his world, he's a freaking genius when it comes to creating brand identity. I was sucked in. I understood it immediately. I saw him in his other worlds and I was like, oh my gosh, he's mastered it. And he's the same man and I'm not confused. Like that is so tough for people to do and not let alone do, but understand how to do it. It took me like for sure 3, almost 4.5 years. I think I've just figured out that I'm the same person no matter which platform I represent. Like last month was the first time I put all my logos up. I said, these are all the logos I represent. What? Who gonna check me? These are my logos, right? So Cameron, last word before we wrap this thing up. When we talk about this brand identity, and you think about what you've experienced of Nicole, you think about what you've experienced of Tiffany, and if you were to go touch their brands and think about what your expectations were, I want you to tell us, like, what would your expectation be of our brands having experienced us in this way? When you think about how you're intentional about helping others figure out their brand, like use us as the case study. So Nicole and Tiffany, we're putting them on the spot. Like, what would your expectation be of their brand?
You know what, I'll get to the expectation, but I think one thing that I appreciate is kind of sharing the same sentiments that you just shared regarding me, is that I'm very clear on what it is that they do. And I think their messaging and the way they translated it in a teachable way, it excited me because it allowed me to not only know what they do, but also be very clear on how I can do it, right? And so a lot of times there's that space where, you know, you may be introduced to someone on a teaching platform and hear how phenomenal they are at what they do, but be intimidated because you're like, but how do I do that? And so I think the one thing that I gained is that I would feel comfortable enough coming to them in a way that I wouldn't feel overwhelmed or intimidated, because it was very, it wasn't aggressive, and it was very clear for anybody who would have entered this class to be able to now leave and have some takeaways of what we can actually do. I mean, even me, I wrote down my own notes about things, you know, that I can implement based upon what they taught. So I thought that was the phenomenal thing. And that's what I would say, take advantage of for everybody that's been on this call, is, you know, the information that was disseminated, and even, you know, getting with them, you know, because one thing I learned as well is that, and even for me, is that there's some things that are just better placed in the hands of others. You know, to get them done and be very clear and very intentional about that. So I appreciate both of them. And I will say this, you both will be hearing from me, so.
Likewise, yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I want to say to you all, as we zoom, I'm about to go zoom to my next platform, and you all have been zooming with us today. I am grateful. I am over the moon excited about what we've done today. So if you haven't snapped your pictures, we'll go ahead and let's get that, you know, get our last little pose together. I'm going to snap a photo and capture everyone. So everybody grab their cameras and get your photo. And this is one of those moments where you get to share out and express to others just how important it was for you to get what you needed today, right? And they're going to get theirs as well. So do what you do and share it out. Take the spirit of this Smart CEO platform, the Smart Talk Roundtable, and then implement that part of your culture of our culture in your culture. We invite you to do that. All right, everyone. Cameron, Nicole, Tiffany, you all are the MVPs today. Clap it up, everybody. You guys did phenomenal.
Thank you.
So, yes, thank you. Can't thank you enough. For all of you all, we will have our next installment in November. We're committed to running the entire remainder of the year with 2 more installments of the Roundtable as you've experienced it today. You'll experience it different in January, but as you've experienced it today, and we're excited that you're there, you'll also get this recording so you can go back and hear the notes and all the good stuff. The only thing you won't get is the chat. So if you need the chat, you better copy it right now and make sure that you get what you need. But I'm excited. I'm Kyra Hardwick. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us on the Smart Talk Roundtable. We're excited that you were here with us today. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.